Oh.
It's the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sameti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined today by a very special guest, Arwyn Avalon. How's it going?
Good morning. It's going really good. It's going good.
Sweet. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, do you notice the ticker tape across the bottom?
I did.
How long the bloody thing is? It used to be kept at 200 characters, and I look at it this morning, and I'm all, whoa! You can do 1,000 characters here?
Oh my god!
So when it comes to typing something into chat from YouTube, it caps at 200 characters.
Yeah.
Now on this ticker tape banner, you can go 1,000, and I don't remember it ever being that long. I thought it was also capped at 200, but
wow. I guess not. Nice.
That's awful long. So that's pretty cool.
It looks good. I like it.
Yeah, me too. So we met in a sense because I started seeing you on more and more streams and in chats, and I basically just, well, what I'm trying to do with my channel is do roughly 50% Comicsgate and roughly 50% Fandom Menace, and then sprinkle in here and there assorted random stuff like karaoke stuff and stuff related to food because I love food. But I've been spending so much time promoting crowdfunded indie books in Comicsgate that Fandom Menace has been kind of suffering on my channel. But yeah, so I started trying to hop on more of the streams and replays of live streams for Fandom Menace that I've been kind of falling behind on. And then I started seeing you in the chats and stuff, and you had a lot of cool things to say.
Well, thank you.
So, and yeah, so that was that. I wanted to, I don't know if you've ever seen my channel, my show, but it's customary here to kind of do a deeper dive into a creator, check out their quote unquote origin story.
Okay.
And like, would you care to share like some of your background? What kinds of things were you into when you were a kid? Were you into toys, movies, comic books, TV series, superheroes? And along the way, what were the major milestones, if you will, through your life that led you to becoming an artist and multi-talented individual who is now, doing streams on YouTube?
Wow, we're going all the way back, aren't we? Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Well, when I was little, I was very much into Disney. I was, and when I say Disney, I mean like particularly Disney princesses. I was, a very girly little girl. Sleeping Beauty, the original Sleeping Beauty, Disney was one of my, to this day, it's probably in my top 3 Disney movies. Partly because the art style was so different from what Disney had been doing. The art style is very stylized, and I loved that. So yeah, so I was into Disney, toys, the quintessential Barbies, that kind of thing. Now uh, like I had mentioned on Loki, I had three older brothers. I had one of them passed away about 10 years ago, but when I was little, I had three older brothers, and my two older ones were considerably older than me. One was 12 years older than me, and one was 10 years older than me. And then my other brother is just 3 years. So it's like my mom had two sets of two. Well, they were all into comic books, science fiction. They were all into that. And I remember when I was little, when they were at school and I was still at home, I'd sneak in, particularly my older brother, I'd sneak into his room and I'd, thumb through his comic books and look through his National Lampoons and, whatever he had laying around. I was just a curious little kid. I would look through those. And that was probably my first introduction to Marvel. He was really into Marvel. He had some DC, he had some Batman, but, he had Spider-Man, he had Daredevil. My first introduction to Black Widow was back when she was with Daredevil. So that's been a while.
Oh man!
I remember the first time I grew up and I saw Black Widow, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I thought she was with Daredevil. Like, well, it's evolved. The story has grown.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to those, and again, I thought the artwork was really cool. I'm interested in comics, but more from an artist standpoint, because there's so many. And I haven't kept up with all the detailed stories. I know the main stories, but the progression of the stories, I haven't really kept up with that. But the artwork, I really jammed with the artwork. And then, they were into Star Trek, and that really wasn't for me at the time. I was like, no, give me something shiny and glittery. That's science. That's too boring. No, that's not for me. That was grown up. I saw Star Trek as adult.
But the Star Trek was all sterile.
Yeah.
Everything's made out of metal. That's shiny.
I'm like, well, where are the songs? There's no songs in this. There's no dancing. There's no love story. You gotta
wait till later on in the Next Generation.
Right.
When they spend more time on the holodeck.
Right, exactly. But then came along Star Wars. And Star Wars brought science fiction to the mainstream. Star Wars is a space opera. It is a story that is bigger, than the rest of us. And of course, everyone loved Star Wars. That initial movie. I'm actually old enough to where I saw it in the theater for the first time.
Oh, me too.
Blown away. It was amazing. And then of course, my brothers, particularly one of them, he had Star Wars everything. He had the bed sheets, he had the curtain, he had the books, the toys. We would play Star Wars. And so that was probably my first taste of science fiction that I enjoyed on my own, that I got into on my own. But that was really the only thing until I was older. What my real jam was Tolkien.
Oh.
Yes.
You were into that as a young girl?
Oh, yeah. I discovered The Hobbit about 9 years old, and
wow.
I fell in love with it. It was fantasy, it was adventure, it had hobbits, it had dwarves, it had the wise wizard, it had Gollum, it had the Gollum, it had everything that I loved in the Disney stories, but it was different. And I was ready to kind of move beyond just the princesses into something a little deeper. I mean, I even wrote my own Hobbit stories. I had artwork. I wish I had all that now, because I would love to look back on it. But yeah, and then of course that led to Lord of the Rings. When I got a little bit older, I read, I got into that and I read that and I enjoyed that. And so Tolkien was my gateway, I think, into adult fantasy. I mean, even though, those stories can be read as children. I think The Hobbit was originally a story for children. But Lord of the Rings, of course, is a little older. It's a little more intense. It's got more history. And then as an adult, I've just started really deep diving into the lore behind it all. I am not an expert by any means, but I'm a wannabe expert. I want to know the history. I want to know the lore. I want to know, give me more about it. And then it wasn't until I met my late husband in college that he introduced me to the Next Generation.
Oh, all right.
Because he was a big Star Trek fan. He loved Star Trek. And he would watch the reruns. And of course, my prejudice from when I was a kid, I'm like, I don't know about that. And he's like, well, let me show you. Have you watched The Next Generation? I'm like, no. Is it Star Trek? And he's like, yeah, come on, watch it. You'll like it, I promise. And he was right. He was right. I fell in love with The Next Generation. And I'm like, where have I been? And he's like, well, there's more out there.
Right.
And of course, then I got introduced to other science fiction like Alien, and of course Aliens, that franchise, Predator, that franchise.
Oh man, yeah.
And having watched The Next Generation, it made me interested in, well, maybe the original wasn't so bad. Maybe I just wasn't ready for it. So then I started watching that and fell in love with that. And then Babylon 5 came along, fell in love with that. Deep Space Nine, Battlestar Galactica. I mean, all of it. All of it. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell my journey into the fandom. And I started embracing it for me, not just for him, but for me. I made my own connection with characters.
Okay.
I wanted to get into the stories because I was curious and I wanted to know, hey, what are these things about? So yeah, that's kind of how I got here, and I've been here ever since.
Now you're also an artist, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So how did you get into that?
Well, my brother is a professional artist.
Oh wow.
And he's been, oh my gosh, he's been doing art for 40 something years. He's primarily a black and white artist, but he does do color. And he's gone to all the conventions. He's done a couple of books. He kind of runs in the Larry Elmore circle. Those are kind of, when he's at conventions, those are his circle of friends. And I don't know if you know Larry Elmore, but he's an amazing, amazing fantasy artist. He did all the Dragonlance books, the Dragonlance covers.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so that's what your brother's into, the fantasy art,
yes,
black and white.
Yep, that's his thing. And I always looked up to him as a kid. I always thought, God, he's so good. I would love to do that. And he was kind of my mentor growing up. He's like, well, you just sit down and do it. Just sit down and practice. It's a skill like anything. You have to develop it. It's not just gonna come with you thinking about it. You have to actually put the pencil to the paper and do something. So I did a lot of really crappy art, but I'm glad I did it because it helped.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it for a while pretty heavily, and then my husband got sick in 2017. He was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, that sucked. I mean, he was only 53, and they said the kind of cancer he had was very aggressive, and for him being young, I mean, that's young to have the kind of cancer that he did.
Well, yeah, and when you're younger, your immune system and your body's in better shape than when it gets older.
Right.
And you think it would be better at fighting it off.
And he was healthy, and that's why they were so surprised. It was colon cancer, and at first they were like, well, cancer sucks, but if you're going to have any kind of cancer, that's probably the better kind to have, because there's something about it that tends to respond well to chemo. But his was so far gone and it had already spread in his lungs. It had already moved around,
Yeah.
that the chemo was quality of life versus quantity of life, at that point.
Huh.
So, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna. I was just meaning to ask, because I've known people who've had cancer.
Yeah.
What? So, oh, I might have to turn down my speaker because I'm hearing echo again. So you're saying that out of the various forms of cancer, the colon cancer is like preferred because it's more responsive to chemo?
That's what we were told. That's what we were told. That yeah, and a lot of times, because he had, he had a tumor about the size of a tennis ball by the
Ooh.
time they took it out. Yeah, and they said usually if they can get the tumor out and the cancer hasn't spread, it responds better. That's usually to the treatments, and that's what we were told. But again, because his was so advanced and it had already spread, you know, they don't like to give a guesstimate on, life expectancy. But with everything being equal, they were guesstimating about a 2-year lifespan for him if the cancer didn't spread anymore and didn't get more aggressive.
Hmm.
So for everything stopped for me at that point, all artwork, any kind of social activity, he was my main concern. And he did start his chemo treatments. He was doing chemo. Um, I believe at that point it was every 2 weeks. He would go to his chemo, and then he was on like 4 chemo pills a day. And then he would, after, no, it was at that point, it was once a week. Yeah, it was once a week he would have to go to chemo with the medication. And he did that, I don't know, for maybe about 2 months. And then the chemo just stopped working on him. He got real allergic to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was an afternoon that sucked. I mean, he's sitting there, we're going about, because the chemo treatments pretty much took all day. He's going about his treatment, and then all of a sudden, he turns as red as a beet, and he's like, I don't feel so good. And I'm flying around the center going, my husband doesn't feel good. My husband doesn't feel good. Man, those nurses were on it. They saw him. They knew exactly what was going on. They started pumping him full of Benadryl. They were like, yeah, okay, we need to talk to his doctor because this isn't good. And the doctor came in and she checked him out, talked to him, and she said, yeah, well, it seems like he's now developed an allergic reaction to this particular kind of chemo.
Oh, shoot.
So we need to put him on something else, another kind of chemo.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it sucked. He had to end up getting a port in his chest, and he had, he would like come in and he would do few hours of chemo, and then they would have to hook him up to a bag of chemo, and he'd have to come home, and for 48 hours he'd have to be on that, and then we'd have to go back and get it out. And this was just, it got to a point where he's like, look, give it to me straight. You said this is quality of life, not quantity, right? And they were honest, and I appreciate a doctor when they're honest, because at least you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is quality of life. And he's like, well, I don't have any quality of life right now. Right when I start to feel a little bit better, I've got to turn around and come back and get this stuff pumped back into me. He's like, I don't feel good. I don't feel like I'm living. And we had a long talk about it. And he's like, look, I want to stop the chemo, but I want you to be comfortable with it. And it took me about a week, really really processing it, because on one hand I didn't want to say, yeah, baby, stop the chemo, and then have something happen a month later and me be like, oh, if I had only kept him on the chemo. Or at the same time, I didn't want to say, oh, no, you got to stay on it. And then again, a month later, something happened and me regret, well, if he had only been off the chemo, he would have been happy. So, we both had to come to a point where we were comfortable with that, because that's not for everyone. It's a really personal decision that everyone has to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I, and I did. I was like, you know what? If this is your quality of life, and if you genuinely believe, look, I can't handle the chemo, then let's go off it. And then he did. He told his doctor, he was like, I'm done. I'm done with the treatments. I'm done with the pills. I'll keep my nausea medicine, but anything else I don't want to be on. And she was like, okay, well, good luck. We'll get you set up with palliative care in case you need any pain medicine. In case you need something else, just check in with them once a month. And he was really good. Once he got off the chemo, he was good for about, I want to say, a year and a half. He was doing pretty good. I was his caregiver, so anything that he needed, of course, I was there. But we used to have a joke: if it wasn't for the cancer, you wouldn't know he was sick. He was still looking pretty good. He didn't lose a lot of hair. He had really long hair, and it just got a little thin, but he didn't lose any hair from the chemo.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. We thought we were just going to go ahead and shave it all off. That way, it wouldn't come out in clumps. But no, he didn't lose any of it. Like I said, it shed more when he brushed it. He was losing more strands, but he didn't have any bald patches. He still had a pretty thick head of hair.
Wow, good genes, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, he had great hair. I was like, whoa, I'm so jealous. You got great hair. But it was probably the last, let's see, that was 2017 was when he was diagnosed. And 2019, it was that summer when he started not feeling well, when he started being more what I call kind of bedbound, where he's in bed more and more. We had to really adjust his diet because he had, when they removed part of his colon, they put in a colostomy bag. So, he had to be real careful then about what he ate. So, because he would get nauseous if he ate certain foods, he'd get really nauseous, and it would, would mess that up. And then it was the fall of 2019 where he got really, really bad. I mean, you could really tell he had cancer. And, he died February 3rd, 2020.
Damn, that's pretty recent. Jeez.
Yeah. And he knew, he knew he was going to go, because it was 2 days before his death that he wanted to say, call his loved ones and his best friend and kind of say his goodbyes. And I didn't think he was going to die that soon. I thought, well, he's preparing for it. So he just wants to make sure one last time. But I thought, even as bad as he was, I thought, okay, there was always hope that he was going to get better.
Right.
There was always hope.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, everything stopped, once he got sick. Artwork, everything.
Was it similar to what people describe where, like, I think my father-in-law, as he was passing away, I wasn't there to witness it, but it sounded like he was looking in the direction of, us in the living don't see it, but he was kind of looking in this one direction, and it almost seemed like he was conversing with other loved ones, I guess, on the other side, you might say, or in heaven.
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because about the last maybe 2 months, he started to get, I believe, if I remember correctly, what's known as aphasia, also known as brain cloud. And he wasn't really thinking straight. And it's like you could tell the words he was thinking in his mind were not coming out the way he wanted when he spoke. And he was really, really concerned during his more lucid moments. He was like, think I'm going crazy. Because he would say, like, popsicles. He ate a lot of popsicles. And his words for them became cold. I want cold. And
Okay.
I knew what he meant. Oh, okay, he wants a popsicle. And he would have different code words that I would have to learn. And I could see the stress on his face. But once I learned those words, he knew he was communicating with me. But the night before he died, he was very, very restless. And again, I didn't know he was going to pass away, but he was real restless in his sleep. And he got the bed, and I had moved one of those easy chairs. I had moved
Okay.
that in because I'd been sleeping on the couch for probably, I don't know, 7 months at that point, just because he needed the bed to himself. He needed to be comfortable. He needed to be cool. So I've been sleeping in the living room, but the last month I had moved an easy chair in next to his bed. And he was real restless, and he called out at one point. He called out really loud for his mom. Well, his mom had been dead for about 10 years. And he was looking up at the ceiling, and he called out for his mom. And when I soothed him, I was like, it's okay, honey. We're here for you. And then he called out for his sister, but his sister's still alive. But he called out for his sister like he was talking. And then he called out, I guess it was about an hour later, he called out my name really loud and really desperately. And, of course, I had to get up, and I was like, it's okay, I'm here. And I talked to him, and he kind of went back into this restless sleep. And then I woke up, and, at 8:30 the next morning, he was gone.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I don't know if he was like seeing his mom and like saying goodbye to his sister and then calling for me to make sure I was there to reassure him. I'll never know, but I've heard that too, that people right before they go, they're in another realm. And I think he was. I think he was. Man, that sucked. That
Oh,
was a
yeah.
hard morning.
I know what
That
you
was a
mean.
hard morning. But we didn't want to put him in a hospice. We wanted him to be home. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be at home with me and his kids. And I was adamant about that. As hard as it was, because sometimes he would fight me. He'd want to get up in the middle of the night and do something, and I'd have to, he'd want to do something that wasn't there. And I'd have to, coax him back to bed and get him. And I think that's the hardest thing for people who are taking care of loved ones, is it's not so much the dealing with the bodily aspects of cancer. It's dealing with the mental aspects, because you're not prepared to see your loved one go the route they go. You're just, nothing can ever prepare you for that.
It's
And
emotionally draining.
it is. And and I try to be strong for him, but there would just be some days I'd, when he'd be sleeping, and I tell my kids, I said, look, I'm going to go to my parents for about 15 minutes. Dad's sleeping, keep an eye on him. And they would, they're older, so they
Yeah.
were able to do that. And I would just go, and I would just cry. I
Yeah.
would just bawl my eyes out, because I didn't want him to see that, because it would distress him when I would get upset.
Oh, I can understand that. Yeah.
And but I just needed that release, because I wasn't prepared for it. I was not prepared for how bad it got so quickly. But and we'd been married 28 years.
Whoa,
Yeah, we'd been together a very long time.
that's impressive.
So yeah, honestly, I consider that one of my greatest achievements, one of my life's achievements, is having that kind of love and being with somebody till death do us part. It's a
Oh,
rare thing
yeah.
nowadays.
I mean, I have mad respect for people who can keep a marriage together. And
Yeah.
when you see people married 15, 20, 30 or more years, it's really a success story as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah. And his name was Robert, and that's one of the things that I'm adamant on, is I want to keep his name alive, and I want to keep his memory alive. But yeah, so and that was he lived for 3 years, almost to the day he was diagnosed.
Oh
He lived
wow,
for 3 years.
nice.
Yeah. So he got that, and we did have some really precious times together. But yeah, everything else just fell by the wayside. Nothing else really seemed important, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you are facing death with someone, then things start to fall into perspective, and then you start to prioritize
You really do.
almost on a dime.
Yeah,
It's kind of trippy, really.
you really do. And of course, for 2020, I didn't do any artwork. I didn't really get into any fan, I didn't keep up with the fandoms. Let's put it that way. I didn't keep up with the news of what was going on, or new shows, or anything like that. And then it was about, oh gosh, I don't know. It was the spring. Yeah, it was the spring of this year that I realized, I just kind of been existing. I wasn't doing any living, and he had really stressed. I mean, we talked about his death a lot. I mean, we had to prepare for it. It was not a fun subject, but especially during the early time, it was something that seemed far off. I mean, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow anyway. We all have this mortality that one day we're going to face. His, just, we knew it might be sooner, just depending on what the cancer did. And he would say, look, I need you to promise me that you're not going to fold up, that you're not going to shrivel up. I need you to promise me that you're going to continue living, that you're going to continue enjoying life, that you're going to continue doing your artwork, that you're going to continue enjoying the things that you enjoy. You're a social person, so you need to, continue to meet new people and see people, and don't don't fold in on yourself. And of course, I would tell him, well, of course, absolutely, I will. I'll do that. And it would reassure him, and it would reassure, me. And I meant it, all the times that he was like, over and over, you have to do this for me. I'd say, sure, of course. But when he died, it just it kind of all went out the window at that point. I was grieving, and for all the rest of 2020. Oh yeah, and then we had, the pandemic hit, and everything was closing down, and people were quarantined, and I was like, oh God, okay, well. And so I did. I just kind of stayed a shut in for that whole year. And I've said this before, but I don't remember a lot of that year. It's very fuzzy, and that kind of continued on into 2021. And then, one day I realized, man, I made him this promise over and over again, and I'm not living up to it. I'm miserable. I'm no good to myself. I'm no good to my children. I'm just a mess, and I don't want to live in this dark place anymore. I mean, I will always grieve for him. I will always miss him,
Oh sure, of
you
course.
know, but I'm ready to try and start living again. At least try, put some effort into it. I mean, my house was a mess, everything. I mean, I literally let everything go, and I'm not proud of that, but it's where I was. And it's all I could do to get up in the mornings, brush my teeth and eat, and then sit down and watch YouTube, or just veg out on, just put something, anything in. I think I had the first movie of The Hobbit just on repeat. There was something about it that was comforting to me. I don't know what it was, but I just had it on repeat. Half the time I wasn't even paying attention to it. I needed that noise in the background. Otherwise, it was just silence, and it was horrible. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to start getting my life back together. This is crazy. And one day on YouTube, I saw, it was Loki's Mornings of Mischief
Oh, right, yeah.
popped up in my recommendations. I didn't know Loki. I didn't know anyone in the fandom. I watched. I would watch The Quarterling occasionally. I knew who Nerdrotic was and Geeks and Gamers, but it wasn't like I watched them all the time. It's just I saw them throughout my recommendations more and more, and I watched a couple of their videos. But yeah, Loki's popped up, and it was a morning stream, and I was like, well, okay, it's a live stream. Normally I don't get involved in chats. If I watch a live stream, I would just watch it, maybe occasionally pop in and make a comment, but other than that, I was pretty much just visual, no interaction. And I thought, I'd take a chance, and I kind of just popped in and, hey y'all, and people were so nice. They were very responsive. They were very welcoming. And then the next show I showed up and was same thing. How y'all doing? And everyone's hey. And then I started recognizing names, and saying hey to people specifically, and then people started saying hey to me specifically, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. Ivan Ortega, he was another channel that I found real early on. It was his positivity.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. And I'd pop in there, and it was so late. It was on, they're like, it's like at 1 a.m. on Sunday nights, but I wasn't sleeping. So I figured, why not? I wasn't sleeping anyway, because night times are always the worst. Night times were bad. So between those two, it's kind of snowballed. I've gotten to know a lot of people. I've gotten to meet other see other channels in the community and reach out. And I like I said, I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking to people. I'm interested in what people have to say, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. And I'm really glad it did. I don't want to sound cheesy, but it has saved my life. It really has. It truly has. It's gotten me out of a very long funk that I was in. And my husband would love it. He would be real happy for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I was wondering, let's see. So you do art, and was the morning process it, did the morning process inspire any art, or is any of your art like kind of resulting from the feelings you felt, and did it move you in the direction of creating a certain type of art?
Not yet. And I'll tell you why. I'm a fantasy artist. That's my genre. And the reason why it hasn't yet, and I think it will, but because there's still some things that I'm dealing with, and still some things that I'm processing, that I've blocked out in 2020, because the places I was not ready to deal with some of those things yet, and I'm still processing some things now, and I'm not quite ready to put them in any kind of creative form. But I have a feeling that when I have processed more things, and I've settled them, and I'm okay with them, then it might. So yeah, my artwork might take a little bit of a deeper turn in the future. But for right now, just getting back into it, I'm trying to stick with lighter subjects. And I'm working on a piece right now, a Norse mythology piece. Mythology has always, whether it's Greek or Norse, I've always kind of drawn from that. And being a fantasy artist, that's like the perfect venue. It's the perfect subjects, I should say. Now, my daughter is an artist, and her art, her art is definitely, you can see it's inspired by the things that she's gone through with her dad's passing.
Oh,
Definitely. But mine, not yet, but maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll brave those waters, and we never know what'll happen. But for right now, I'm sticking with lighter themes. Themes that I can chew on and be comfortable with, and say, and be proud of the result. So yeah.
so your daughter, does she do fantasy art as well, or does she go in a different style of art?
She does more anime manga style.
Oh, okay.
That's her
That's interesting.
jam. Yeah. She's a huge anime fan. She loves manga. She is all about that. So she has cultivated that style with her own twist. And she was
Nice.
showing me some pieces the other day, and I'm like, okay, these are weird and really dark, but damn, they're good. She's like, thanks, mom. Like, wow, whoo, okay, you go there, honey. But it's her own unique style, and I love it. I love to see her exploring that.
Oh yeah, that's trippy. I
And my
mean,
son just loves, like, he just does like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of art. He just likes to do, take other people's creations and make them his own. But yeah,
dang, a whole artistic family. Good golly,
yeah, yeah,
that's a
pretty much.
trip.
Yep.
Um, I don't know if you follow the person. In fact, I don't even remember their handle, unfortunately. But there's this artist out there who goes to conventions, and she takes My Little Ponies and like redesigns them and creates new things that are like mashups of My Little Pony and other things.
I've seen
But
that done. I've seen that. I don't know if it's her, but yeah, I have seen people take My Little Ponies and totally strip them down and recreate them
yeah,
into, different characters. And oh my, I saw a Jack Sparrow one time, and that thing was so good. I was like, that's Jack Sparrow as My Little Pony. I mean, you knew exactly who it was immediately. But yeah,
yeah.
I've seen people do that. That's talent.
There was
That is some
also
talent.
there was also a mashup of um, what is it? My Little Pony and Aliens.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
my
like, oh
gosh.
man, oh man. I wish I had it bookmarked or something. Hey, welcome, Matt. You didn't link her art in the Twitter link. What's her stuff look like? Uh, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh.
you share your art on your Instagram, don't you? Or do you also do it on Twitter?
No, I've just started sharing. There are some pieces, if you scroll through my Twitter, or my photo album, you can see a small sampling of my work.
Oh,
A
really?
lot of yeah, there's a couple of pieces on there. There's my work in progress that I'm doing, the mythology piece, and then I have an older piece that I did, and then I have a Vampirella. The Vampirella was the first thing I've done since my husband got sick. I just wanted to sit down, do a quick sketch. But yeah, they're on my Twitter. But I'm trying to get a new portfolio because so many of my stuff is older now that I'm kind of in a different headspace, and I'm trying to do stuff a little more. I don't want to say advanced, but involved, if you will. But yeah, there's a couple on there. I can't remember how far back you got to scroll, but they're on there. I try and post every day or every other day at least, so it's pretty bogged down.
Because I don't know of any way to actually go specifically to like to maintain an actual photo album in Twitter.
I'm trying to think how far back it was. July, maybe back in June.
Oh, back in June. Okay.
I think so.
All right. So there's
Baby
June.
Yoda, squee! I love to see Baby Yoda.
So you're a Baby Yoda fan.
I am a Baby Yoda fan. Yes, I am. And it's funny, but before I started watching The Mandalorian, I was like, what is the big deal about this Baby Yoda? Oh, well, then I saw it and I just fell in love. He's so cute. Yeah, keep going. I found those feathers one day, just all over the road, and I have a thing for feathers. I collect them if I can. Aren't they cute?
I hope you washed them off first before you wore them.
Oh, always, always. My mom's the same way. I like to collect birds' nests as well.
You do?
Yeah, yeah. I find birds' nests around here all the time.
So
And she's
you,
like, you're going to get mites. And I'm like, well, I'll try and clean them. I'll dust them off as best I can. And so far, I haven't had any mites.
oh my gosh. So you're like stealing their homes.
Oh no, they're abandoned. They're abandoned. We get a lot of sparrows that like to build. I've got these little ledges around my house, like little. Oh wait, you just passed one. Yeah, scroll back up. That's a part of
Oh,
one.
oh dang.
That's one of the works in progress I'm working on. That's why he doesn't have any whiskers. The whiskers always come at the end because
Right.
I either use a white paint or a white gel pen until the very, very end. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, they build nests in there for the spring, and then in the fall they take off. So I just remove the nests.
Wow. That's good.
Yes, part of one.
What are your mediums? What do you use?
Prismacolors, and then I'll combine it with maybe some acrylics. But
Oh,
right now that's all Prismacolor. That's pencil.
colored pencil?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
It's my favorite medium.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I have Prismacolor pencils. That's what I grew up with. That's cool. And then what do you use the acrylic paints for?
Usually for detail, like a white acrylic, I will use for any kind of highlight. Um, if I'm doing stars, I'll use that to kind of make the stars stand out, stuff like that. But that's usually all done at the very, very end. Like I'll lay down all the colored pencil work first, and then when everything is exactly how I want it, then I'll go in, and if I need to add, like I said, add any highlights, add any sparkle. I like a lot of sparkle in my work, literal little sparkles.
Oh, like glitter?
Mhm.
Oh,
I'll use white acrylic to kind of add the shimmery bits. Like right here in the back where you see the nebula and the stars, I'll use either the white gel pen or the white acrylic, and I'll add little bits to make it kind of pop.
oh, all right, nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember if there's another one a little
Yeah,
further
there
up?
is down a little bit more. I have the other part, the other there's like three cats in this piece, and then Freya, the goddess Freya, which I'm still working on her. Oh, that's the other piece. Or that's the other part, just a little sneak peek.
Oh, a teaser.
Yeah, a little teaser. And then
Mhm.
further down is a full-fledged piece that I did several years back. And that one will kind of give you a sampling of I guess my style of what I like, what I jam on.
All right.
Oh, my little kitty Wookie. I have a lot of cats, so you'll end up seeing a lot of cat pictures. There it is.
How many cats do you have?
12.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Now, is that even before, even while you were married and everything?
No, no, no. We had 8. We have a big stray cat population problem in my town. My town is very small. It's kind of out in the country.
Okay.
And people will bring cats and dump them here. Number one, they'll just let them go. Or people will, let them go outside without them being fixed. So next thing you know, kitten season. They give birth to kittens. Those kittens grow up. They give birth to kittens. It's just really bad.
Oh yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
had, let's see, how many? We had 5 that we hit. All of them are adopted off the streets.
Okay. All right.
Well, one of them technically was adopted from the vet, but he was someone, he was a stray somebody found and took him to the vet. So yeah, they're all street cats. And then we adopted one that she was pregnant and we didn't know it when we took her in. And then she gave birth to babies, and we found homes for half, and the other half we kept. She had 6 kittens. We found homes for 3. Nobody else wanted the other 3.
What?
So we're like, okay, we'll keep her. It's really hard to find homes for cats.
Weird.
I don't know why. Dogs tend to be easier in this town to find homes for. Not so much cats. Well, then one of the siblings that we gave away, she got pregnant and had kittens, and she had a little black one. And I have a thing for black cats. I love black cats. They're like my favorite. So we adopted him, and then one of the ones that we had, let's just say I didn't get him fixed in time. I missed that window.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So then they ended up having a litter of 4.
Oh.
So now I have 12. 4 of them are still kittens. They're 3 months old.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Fortunately, I have a really old. My house is like over 130 years old, and it's really big. It's like one of those. It's not a 2-story, but it's wide and it's long.
Oh wow.
So there's enough room for them to kind of get away from each other if they need to. But I still have to break up some cat fights every now and then. But yeah, I got 12, and I don't know. I have a heart for cats. It hurts me to see them just dumped or just out in the wild, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm nuts.
now are they all indoor cats then?
Yeah, they are.
All right.
That's why when you see the Mistress of the Multi-Cat verse, that name was bestowed upon me by Snortopupus Cuber. He called me that one morning, and I thought that was so cute, I had to keep it. I had to put it in my profile.
Oh,
yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, I was going to say it is. So, does that mean you're a not crazy cat lady, or are you a crazy cat lady?
I am not a crazy cat lady. My let's see, how was it put to me? I am not a crazy cat lady. My cats, yeah, God, now I can't think of it. Somebody said this to me one time. You're not a crazy cat lady. Your cats are crazy lady cats, I think was how they put it. I said, yeah, that's very accurate. That's very accurate. But they're sweet. They're good. They're my babies. What can you do, right?
Oh man, that's a lot of litter boxes and a lot of.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But we're very fastidious about it. We have to be. I mean, you have to be. If you have multi cats, you have to be in the position to take care of them. And yes, they're expensive. I think I buy more cat food than I do in litter than I do people food. But they're worth it. They've been a good comfort to me and my children since my husband passed. And
I bet.
Although I broke a cardinal rule, my God, he said he was going to come haunt me if I ever got more than 10 cats.
What?
Yeah, he said, honey, you better not get more than 10 cats because I swear to God, I will come and haunt you if you do. And I'm like, oh, that'll never happen. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I'm like, geez. Oh, dear. The four don't count. They're still little. They don't count. They make up only 1 cat. So I'm good right now. I'm good.
You know, you did it on purpose so that he would haunt you, so you'd
Oh
be
yeah.
company. There you go.
That's what he said. He's like, but you'll know it if it's me. And I'm like, all right, well, so far. I did have one freaky thing happen
What?
one night. Actually, it's happened a couple of times. This was last year, and I was sitting in the office, which it was his office. It's where he had all his computer stuff, and he was a big gamer. He loved computer games. He loved building computers. I mean, that was like his man cave.
Uh-huh.
And now it's my man cave, if you will. Well, I was sitting in there, and I was just kind of watching something and just vegging. I wasn't really paying any attention. And as clear as a bell from the doorway, I heard him say, "Hey, baby." Clear as a bell, like he would when he would call me, "Hey, baby." And I looked up. I looked in the doorway, and I fully expected to see him there. And he wasn't there. And I got a little woo-woo about that. And I've seen him a couple of times out of the corner of my eye, and I'll go to look, and he's not there.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's only happened a few times. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. My brain was telling me it wasn't him, he's not there, but my heart was telling me, I know my husband's voice. I'd recognize it anywhere. I know what he looks like. I mean, I don't know. Make of it what you will, but clear as a bell, like he was standing in the doorway. I heard those words, and I looked up, fully expecting to see him there, and he wasn't there.
Wow.
And it doesn't help that my husband looks a little like him. Now he's taller than my husband, and he's got more my features, but the body type is similar. So sometimes early on, and I gave like some of his pajama bottoms and stuff like that to my son. When he would wear those, and I'd see those out of the corner of my eye, I'd be like, "What?" But I'd look and it was him.
Right.
I know it's him. But the times I've seen him out of the corner of my eye, I've immediately looked and there's nothing there, and my son's nowhere around. Those have been the times I've been like, okay, I have 12 cats. Oops.
The realization that you have 12 cats keeps you grounded.
Yes, it does. But he loved him too. He was a big cat person as well, so I don't feel too bad.
Yeah, I grew up with cats, but I love dogs too now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really sweet. So,
thank you.
How long does it take you to do a piece like this, if you've kept track?
Like from start to finish, from sketch to finished product? If I'm really inspired and the muse is like hitting me full force, it can take maybe 3 days if I just sit down and crank it out with, say 4 or 5 solid hours a day. Yeah. But the piece I'm working on now, I haven't worked on it in several weeks. I've been doing other things. I've been guesting on live streams. I've been really getting into the community. So that's really taken a lot of my focus, and I've been enjoying it. So it's, no harm, no foul.
Mm-hmm.
But one of these days, and I know my daughter especially, she's like, "Mom, you need to get back to your artwork." I'm like, I know, you're right. No more live streaming, Mom. Artwork. She keeps me honest.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'd say from idea to sketching it out to penciling it to doing the color rendering to putting. You see, like her wings, that's all white acrylic.
Okay,
the little sparkles, that's all white acrylic. But the rest of it is pure pencil.
That's a cool effect.
Yeah, it works. It works. Sometimes the easier things, the easier methods are the most effective. They really are. And it works for me, and I enjoy it. I've tried doing pure acrylics. I can't get the blend right. I think I have one piece I did years ago that was acrylic, and it was nope. But I do enjoy oils. Oils, I
Oh.
love oils, but let me tell you, they take forever to dry.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I do it, I'll take a piece of heavy cardboard and I'll wrap it with foil, and that will be my palette. And I'll squeeze out my oils.
Okay.
And then I will, I'll have my piece and I'll work on my piece, and then I'll put it, on the desk, and then I'll, because the oils won't dry. They will stay moist, if you will. And that's a mistake though, because one time I came in and I found little paw prints all
Oh.
over my art piece and all over the desk where they had jumped up there and gotten into the oil paint. Fortunately, it was just a little bit, so their little paws were easy to clean. But
Oh, good.
yeah, you got to be careful with that. I have to be careful with that because I'm the dummy who doesn't, get a proper palette and cover her paint. Live and learn.
And put it up high and out of range so that they can't jump on it.
Yep. But pencils work for me. The Prismacolors are great. So.
Welcome, Nights End. Beautiful artwork. You can draw and stream at the same time, like Makini. Lol. That's what I was going to suggest. You do drawing streams.
Well, you think?
You get the best of both worlds. You get to provide commentary or discuss your inspiration while you're working away, and then you could also display the work in progress on screen if you want.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll consider that. I'm a pretty sloppy artist, to be honest. And I also use, I can't believe I forgot about this, the Prismacolor markers. I'll use those too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, like I'll lay down, like with her hair, I lay down a dark wash of marker, like a block of wash of color, and then I went over and highlighted and shaded with the pencils. And sometimes that works real good. So that's my main medium. My daughter's been trying to get me into digital, but I can't understand it. I've tried it, and I don't know, my brain does not work. I have to feel the paper, and I have to feel something in my hand. I have to get that tactile sensation.
What some people do is they get a tablet, and you could either get screen protectors that have a tactile feel.
Oh, okay.
Or I think some tablet screens might actually be designed with that in mind. But it's transition. I like to draw traditionally, but I'm trying to shove myself, if you will, into the deep end on digital.
Mm-hmm.
I got myself a tablet, and there's two ways of going with tablets. You either get one where you can see what you're drawing on the tablet itself, kind of like to simulate drawing on paper or what have you. And then you got the other method where you've got the tablet alone, and then you're looking at the computer screen. So you got that eye-hand coordination going. So you rely on an external monitor. So that's also going to determine which way you go with it.
That's cool. I'll have to look into that. Now that I could get into that. I could enjoy that.
Yeah, drawing streams are cool. Hey, Red Valkyrie. Hey, WyzGyz. Hey, Arwyn. Now following her artwork looks awesome. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's really good. That. Dropping a like, but gotta get back to work. Have fun, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for watching again. Yeah. This is mostly Prismacolor, I take it?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Excuse me. Yep, background.
Wow.
The feathers, the fur. Yeah, it's all Prisma.
Did you draw the woman? Did you go based off a photo of yourself or look at yourself in the mirror?
No. I to be honest, I use a lot of magazines for inspiration.
Oh, all right.
Either that or there is a lot of royalty-free stock art or stock photographs online that is, you know, that you can use. A lot of other artists will do that for artists. They'll take pictures of either themselves or of models, and you know, they'll say, hey, yeah, you know, feel free, as long as you don't, what is the word? Not
Copy
identical.
it.
Yes, as long as you don't replicate it exactly as it is. If you just use it for a reference,
Right.
like a pose reference, or you know, a color reference or something like that, and you have to make it your own. You have to create it, make it your own creation.
Right.
People, they're cool with it. They're cool with it.
Cool.
So that's kind of what I do. I'll see a pose, or I'll see you know, actually this one was, if I remember correctly, it was a picture of Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh.
Yeah, and she had this kind of slightly off the shoulder outfit, so you could see the way she was kind of turned toward the camera.
Uh-huh.
I thought, oh, I like that. I like that shot. That's a good pose. So I used that as kind of a reference to make sure, you know, that the face and the neck, that everything was in proportion, because that's my thing. I struggle with proportion, particularly with hands and feet. So I have to, you know, use a reference to make sure that they line up. Because one of the things is, and it's not just me. I've seen other artists do this as well. But hands and feet tend to be drawn, even if you're just looking at it and you're drawing it. It's easy to underdraw them, to make them too small. Yeah, I mean, go figure. It's like it'll look great in the photograph, but when you draw it, if you draw it identical, a lot of times, at least with me, you know, they'll turn out too small. So that's why you have to kind of use it as a guide rather than an exact replication, unless you're just a fabulous artist and you can just knock that out of the park. I'm not that artist, so I have to tweak and erase and retweak and re-erase, and I have to get it all right before it goes onto my main paper, and then I can, you know, do it from there. But yeah, my sketches take forever. They take forever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because once it's on my main paper, the coloring is a breeze. That's no problem at all.
What is the dimensions of this piece?
This one's 11 by 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I try to stick 8 by 10 just because it's more manageable. But yeah, sometimes I get kind of big. 11 by 14 to me is big.
All right.
And the pencils wear down really fast, so it's more economical to do smaller pieces.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. Have you do you like go through a lot of complete sets of Prismacolors?
More certain colors.
Oh, yeah.
Like with this piece, I went through, I think, 2 purples, a lavender, a white. I had to repurchase those because, you know, and I'm a fanatic. I've got to have them super sharp. If they're slightly blunt, I can't work with them. So I'm constantly, you know, in the you know, the pencil sharpener, grinding them down. But it works.
Yeah, with some colored pencils, it seems like if you let it go dull, then it starts feeling like it's too soft.
Right. And Prismacolors are soft in general. They are a softer lead. My son got me a set of the Mitsubishi color pencils for Mother's Day, and they're a harder lead. And I use them a lot for outlining.
Okay. All right.
They're real good because they won't smear. Like when, you know, I'll put down the graphite, and then I'll outline it with a colored pencil, and the Prismacolor will smear if you erase it.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So, are you saying that's the same as a car manufacturer?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nightsen says, I can draw stick figures with different size feet. That's about it. Did you include acrylic or oil paints as well? You mentioned the wings were done with white gel pen.
Yes, yes.
So did you include paints this time around?
Just the acrylic in the wings
All right.
and the little sparkles. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I hate to do this. Hang on just a sec. I
All
got
right.
a cat banging at the door. Hang on just a sec. Right.
Yeah, this is nice. I like this. I like it a lot. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. She is tending to her cats right now. Yeah, check out the crazy long ticker tape at the bottom of the stream. She's on those areas of social media. And we're looking at her Twitter right now, but Instagram has a lot more of her pieces and they're easier to find.
Oh my God, I am so sorry, but that was my 25 pounder. And woo, he gets banging and he wants in and I have to go. Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, it's like a nursery around here.
does your 25 pounder simply want companionship?
Yeah, he's an interesting case. He gets along okay with the other cats, but he kind of wants to be left alone, and he's very, very, very bonded to me.
No.
Very bonded to me, and he gets to where, you know, if he wants in, he'll start pawing at the door, and then he'll start banging, and then he'll start pushing his body. You know, and it's you have to see it. It's just insane. So I had to go smooth some ruffled feathers, and I gave him a treat, and he'll be okay now.
All right. Yeah.
I'm like, his timing is horrible. I'm on a live stream. Starbuck, leave me alone.
maybe he wants to be on the stream. Maybe that's it.
He might.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's like I said, he's 25 pounds. He might be more now. It's been about a year since I've weighed him. And he's blonde.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a smaller one who's black. And Starbuck is the blonde one and Binks is the black one. But they'll get into fights. So their nicknames now are Thor and Loki.
Yeah.
When they start fighting, it's Thor and Loki's at it again. So,
did you say one of them is named Binks?
Binks, uh-huh.
Oh,
My black one's named Binks.
I've got a friend whose cat is named Binks, too.
Yeah.
And it's a black cat.
Binks, my black one is Binks, and my other black one is Cisco.
Oh.
He named after my favorite captain ever, Captain Cisco, DS9.
He's your favorite, huh?
He's my favorite, yeah. I love Cisco. He's great. He's like the best of Kirk and the best of Picard rolled into one. I just love him.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate that he was like stuck on a space station instead of.
I know, right?
Really getting his own starship till the very end of the series when.
Yeah.
It seemed like fans had enough of, being in a space station is kind of interesting and it's another perspective, but at the same time, I think people in the Star Trek universe still yearn to explore the stars and, I think a certain amount of the population got tired of being like cooped up indoors.
Yes,
and wanted to go out into space, and I think that's when they finally gave him a ship.
Yeah.
So so basically your cat starts pawing and then pushing his body against the door, and then
Mhm.
if you wait too long, then he whips out the battering ram.
Pretty much, yeah. And he's big. I mean, he's not. I've got like solid oak doors here. He's not gonna hurt the door, but I'm afraid he's gonna hurt himself.
Ah,
And I don't want that, you know. And then what he'll do is he'll get the other cats stirred up. Then they'll all come around. They'll want to know what's going on, you know. And then Binks will turn into Loki and start picking at him, and then Starbuck will turn into Thor and start picking. And it's just, I'm telling you, it's Cirque du Soleil around here
oh
sometimes.
my gosh.
But
Yeah, I'm just picturing cats doing all these magnificent acrobatics.
they're amazing. And it's funny because so many people think cats are just aloof. They want to be left alone. You know, they're not as friendly as dogs. They're not my cats. My cats all want attention all the time.
I
All of
had
them.
I had one when I was a kid who totally loved. I mean, I loved both my cats, but this one was, we were told, a Siamese cat, but it was a short hair, all white hair,
Ooh, pretty.
and I think one blue eye, one brown eye,
Ooh.
and you could be curled up in a ball sleeping in my bedroom at the back of the house, but you could hear him purring from the front of the house.
Yeah, they can get little motor mouths.
Yeah, and I can only imagine what it must be like with 12 cats all sleeping at the same time.
Well, it's funny. You know, they divide their time between, except for Starbuck. He's either on his own or he's with me. But the rest of them pretty much divide their time between me and my two kids. You know, they'll hang out in there. You know, in the afternoons when it's sunny, they'll be in the living room. It's like I know at each time of day. I know where they're going to be, and I know what they're going to be doing. But the other night, my son came in here and he started looking around, and and I'd been on the computer, and I'm like, "What you looking at?" He goes, "Mom, look." And I looked down, and with the exception of like two cats, it was like a cat minefield in here. They were some curled up on the floor, some were curled up on the bed. I'm like, "Oh my God, what are they all doing in here?" He's like, "I don't know, but they're hanging out." I'm like, "Take some with you. Take some with you."
That is so funny. You know how some people who are like hobbyists and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they mount these like train tracks. You know, they get those fancy train sets,
Yes.
and they mount train tracks all across the ceiling. And do you do something similar with the cats? Because some cat owners literally have that as part of their, their climbing area.
I've seen that, and I want to do something like that on my back patio. I want to close that in, and I want to make that literally a catio. I
Yeah.
want to have it to where they can go out without being outside. You know,
Yes.
they'd have the chicken wire, and I want to build some steps for them, and I want to build ledges. And I mean, it's a future project, but one day, yeah, I'd love to have something like that,
Yeah.
especially for the older ones. I've got some older ones,
I
you
saw a
know.
couple of videos where it was kind of like a makeover thing, a patio makeover, and one of them actually had something like that.
Oh, that'd be heaven.
Yeah, it was neat. Um, so when you made this piece, how did you get your pet wolf and your pet owl to pose for you?
Those I actually got out of what was the one? One was from a book of owls because my husband loved owls. That was like his totem animal was the owl. And one of mine is the wolf. So I've got lots of, those big coffee table books,
Uh-huh.
lots of those of just beautiful wolf photographs. And then he's got books on owls. So I was trying to decide because at the time I did this, I didn't know it was going to be more of a winter themed piece. I just knew I wanted, you know, a goddess esque, if you will, figure with a wolf and an owl. And I was going back and forth. I'm like, okay, do I want to do a black wolf? Do I want to do a red wolf? Do I want to do a barn owl? You know, do I want to do a great horned owl? What do I want to do here? What kind of theme do I want to work with? And I started looking through the color pencils, and usually I will try and choose a color theme along with the figures before I kind of piece everything together, and that actually helps. So it's like, oh well, okay, I've got these pencils. I love these colors. I love these lavenders. I love these blues. So what about a winter theme? And right there, it was like, okay, winter wolf, snow owl, solved. And then I was able to kind of look through there and find what I was looking for, and then incorporate them that way. And then I had my reference, right away. So it's real easy to do. Once I get the colors and the theme sorted, then the rest of it just kind of falls into place. And that's how I knew I wanted her to have dark hair, really fair skin. It worked with that kind of snow wintry theme.
And did you come up with this headdress, or was this part of the Catherine Zeta-Jones photo?
No, that was pieced together by just kind of different headdresses I saw. And I thought, okay, like I found a couple of feathered ones I really liked, but they weren't positioned the right way, or they were the wrong colors. So I just kind of used those as inspiration, if you will, and just kind of created my own. And it worked out. It turned, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
It reminds me of She-Ra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I guess I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, original She-Ra, not the travesty it's become.
Oh, yeah. We won't go there, will we?
No.
Or maybe we will. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Tim. Yeah, so that's really cool.
Thank you.
Since you do art, do you?
Yeah, that's another work in progress I was doing.
Skills.
That's just kind of a sketch.
Holy crap!
Yes, somebody said, "Well, it looks good, but why are you using just crappy paper?" I'm like, because it's just a sketch. I saved the good stuff for when I'm ready to, to do a final rendering. I use my crappy paper for sketches.
Do you do your art on Bristol board?
Sometimes. Right now, I've been using the Canon hot press paper.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think it's 90-pound paper. It's made specifically for pencils. I think you can use some the pastels, not the oil pastels, but just like the chalk pastels. Pen. It's made specifically for that. So it's got a tiny bit of a tooth, but not so much that, when you're doing your pencil, it flakes off. It's a good paper to use. I like the Canson cream or the Canson bright white. So either or, just depends on what I'm going for. But this was just, I don't even remember what this was. I think this was just like the general kind of art paper you can get anywhere. This may have been, and this may actually, no, this was an old piece of Canson that I had. It's a little bit of a thinner grade or a thinner weight, a lighter weight. And I like, I just use it for kind of sketching out. And then when I get the sketch how I like, I just transfer it using good old fashioned tracing paper. I'll just transfer it on, or my light box. I do have a light box onto the good paper. And that way I can get, since everything's already done the way I want it, I can just get it exactly. I don't have to redraw it. Because if I had to redraw it, no. Because believe it or not, drawing is not my favorite thing to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. I want to get to the color work, man. That's where the juice is.
Wow. Yeah, this is a really nice piece. I like it. Even if it's just a sketch. Have you, if I remember when we were chatting a little bit in the back room, you said you don't know a whole lot about Comicsgate?
Not really. Just bits and pieces. I know that they're going the route of other IPs. They're changing stuff that doesn't need to be changed, and even some of the artwork quality is falling down.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a version of Fandom Minutes, except on the on the comics industry.
Mm,
The big two, meaning DC and Marvel,
mhm.
are following this trend that companies are going to where you get woke, if you will,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you try and force agenda and so-called diversity into beloved properties,
Ugh.
turning well-loved characters, decades old, into
Yeah,
shades of what they used to be, and so all in an effort to force an agenda and
yeah,
to self-insert and all that garbage. So the Comicsgate as a movement or as a community is, you know, okay, if this is the way they're going and they refuse to listen to the fandom, we're going to do something about it. And it kind of is what distinguishes Comicsgate from Fandom Menace in a sense,
mm-hmm.
because it's more manageable, I guess you could say. Uh, so the idea is, crowdfund your own comic books. You got an idea for a book, make it, and don't let anyone stop you. Crowdfund it, build a platform, build a YouTube channel,
Absolutely.
get to know people, uh, learn from each other, and crowdfund books, and create the things that you wish you wish the big two would have released.
Yeah,
But since they apparently lost their way or they refuse to listen to the fans anymore, to hell with them. We'll do our own thing and we'll
yeah,
succeed. And now we're gradually becoming bigger and bigger competitors to them. And it takes
yeah. They don't like that, do they?
not at all.
Oops. Oh well.
Yeah, you piss off the fans and here's what you get. And
Exactly.
and there are lots of people releasing all kinds of crazy stuff. As I also mentioned to you, a chunk, even though my channel's goal ultimately is to be like roughly half Comicsgate, half Fandom Menace, I spend so much time promoting books because there's so many. The number of books being released now is really growing, and the
Mm-hmm.
number of promotional channels is growing. So it's pretty darn impressive. Like in the beginning of the year, someone quoted that we were going to have about 43 new books from Comicsgate by April 2021.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a whole lot more now, a whole lot more. But the reason I brought Comicsgate into this is because, I was looking at your beautiful piece on the mermaid, and it immediately made me think of this campaign that's going on that yours would be pretty amazing joining. I don't know if you are doing commissions or anything, but Adam Post has a mermaids book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a comic book where a teacher joins a team of rebels determined to overthrow and kill a powerful mermaid queen.
Oh, that sounds like something I would love. Love even to read. I love
Yeah.
mermaid.
So as you can see, he's got some great artists going on.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Lots of action.
Oh,
Oh
how
gosh.
cool. Uh-oh. Oops.
I know. It's vicious.
Oh, that's beautiful though. Look at that.
Yeah, definitely full of fantasy. Um, there these are interiors. But look at these.
Oh, I love that piece. That is stunning.
Yeah, these. He's got. Let's see. This is by Jerry Gertrudia
Oh, that's gorgeous.
and Esther Sands. He's got some amazing prints going on here.
Oh, beautiful.
That's by the same duo.
Yeah, I love that Art Nouveau reference. Gorgeous.
This is by Javier Sanchez and Normaliza.
That is so funny because besides that one, I've got 2 other mermaid sketches I did recently.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Mermaid. This is by all right. Also the same team,
Just
Javier
beautiful.
Sanchez and Normaliza. And then he's got a making of book. He's got the full script and layouts for the entire graphic novel.
Oh, look at that one.
And check this out: 20-page design, 20 full-page designs by Mermaid's cover artist and key designer Jerry Gertrudia.
Oh,
So this is the black and white. If I'm not mistaken,
oh, I love it. That's my favorite.
yeah, I think there's a coloring book in this campaign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, just check this workout,
Oh,
man.
his line work is so clean. It's so clean. I'm very envious. I have very unclean artwork. I mean, line work. I have to like go over it again and again and again and get it just right. That's so beautiful.
Look at that, an eel tail.
An eel. And it looks so good.
I never would have thought to come up, use an eel tail.
No, me either. I've used a dolphin tail one time, but that I never would have thought of an eel.
Me either. I don't know why. You know.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bookmark. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I like Adam Post's work, and he's got 3 campaigns so far. Actually, I'll drop a link to chat for anyone interested in Adam Post's The Mermaid's comic book. It's in demand. I don't know how much longer he's going to have this open, so if you're interested in picking it up, pick it up before it's too late.
Definitely. Definitely. Beautiful stuff.
When you do your drawings, before you get into all the color pencils and the acrylics and the oils and the white gel pens, do you use like mechanical pencil? Do you use black lead? Do you use light blue pencil like comic artists use?
You know those really cheapy ones you can get at the Dollar Tree for like $1 for 20 of them? the like little plastic ones that have the little white eraser on it that aren't refillable.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you serious?
I'm deadly serious. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Holy crap.
Now, okay, to be fair, if I'm doing just a black and white graphite piece, I'll go a step up and I'll use the cheapy mechanical ones that you can refill. But this right here, yeah, it's just for my sketches. Now it has to be at least a 0.5 or smaller. I can't use a 7; they're too big because I like to get in there and get all the detail first. But yeah, that's what I use to do my sketches.
Wow.
Cheap because I go through them so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out. I just chuck it and pick up a new one, and I'm ready to go. Now I will use a good eraser. I will use a really good eraser. Those, what do you call them? Well, the Prismacolors, they make a good gummy eraser. There's another brand that my daughter gave me. I can't remember the name of it, but the big white ones, I will use those to because one, they're bigger and you can erase more space. But they erase a lot better. They'll get like if I make a boo boo and I need to go back and I need to fix it, it gets in there and it gets all the graphite out as opposed to the little cheapy erasers.
Right. Yeah.
But
And you don't
yeah,
want an eraser that's gonna make things all blurred.
right. And even though it is a sketch, it still has to be clean so I can see what the heck I'm doing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? And you can tell with the hair and stuff. I get pretty detailed, and with the tail, but you can see the scales. Ugh, I hate scales. You can see where I've erased over and over and over. They can never line up. I'll start out and I'll get maybe the first inch. They'll look perfect. And then after that, they start kind of leaning to the side or shifting. And I'm like, oh my God, the bane of my existence are scales.
You mean like when you're doing the front of the body and then doing scales on the back of the body?
Yeah, like scales on the tail. Like what I was seeing, kind of visioning in my head is doing the front and then doing the back and then leaving the strip down the middle clear.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, if I leave that blank, I can go in there and I can add highlight.
Yeah.
And it'll look more like a fish's tail.
All right.
But it's giving me fits, and that's why I haven't gone back to this piece yet. That's why it's still in my, work in progress sketch folder, because I had to take a break. I was tearing out my hair.
You know what you might do is literally draw all the scales all the way across,
Mm-hmm.
and then take an eraser to make a line down.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to have to end up doing, and then just erasing it out. But to be fair, you can tell at the bottom where her tail is working the way up. Those were all together, but yet they still got wonky. So I don't know. I just people are going to come on here and go, "What the hell? You think she's a good artist? She sucks." I'm giving away all my horrible little, my little skeletons in my closet, but it is what it is.
So how did you learn how to do the, oh, here we go. If you have a Twitter, check out McKinney1990. Oh yeah, McKinney's good too.
I will. Thank you. I absolutely will.
Yeah. So did you take any formal classes in drawing the human form, figures, animals?
No, I didn't. I just sat down and practiced.
Wow.
I just practiced. I had a book on the human figure, and it was tons of poses of just different pictures, if you will, that they took of both male and female. And I would just sit down and practice and, try and get things right and just, work on it that way. Animals, I kind of wing it. I'll look at the reference and I'll figure out what I want to do with it, what I want to change, and I'll wing it and hope for the best.
Wow, that's cool.
I did do reading about color theory, though. I love colors, and I've always had an eye for color, even when I was little. It's like, my mom would say, "Oh, what do you think of this yellow dress?" And I'd be like, "That's mustard yellow, Mom, not just yellow. There's sunshine yellow, there's lemon yellow, kitchen gold." And she's like, "Eh." So, and that came from Crayola. Thank you very much. The old big packs of Crayola colors where they were real colors, not razzleberry, where it was actual, magenta and stuff like that. But oh yeah, that's the first piece I did since my husband died. I sat down and said, "I'm gonna do Vampirella." And it's okay. There's some things I would tweak now, but hey, it got the ball rolling.
Yeah. Did you see how Dynamite Comics, who I guess owns the Vampirella IP, reaches out to artists from time to time and asks them to do a variant cover?
Really? No,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool that they do that.
Back in like Comicscape's earlier years, they did that for a few of our people. Let me see if I can still find it.
Was that I know that Star Wars girl did a Vampirella cover. Was that through them?
yeah, that's one of them. Yeah,
Okay.
they had asked her like 2 or 3 times to do a cover, and she turned them down. And then eventually, she decided, all right, I'll give it a shot.
Well, I love Vampirella. There will definitely be more vampy pieces for me because I love her. She's probably one of my favorites. I love her. I love Red Sonja.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those are my two favorites.
Oh, I think all right. So yeah, here's Ethan Van Sciver's Vampirella
Oh, gorgeous.
#1 red foil variant. So it's got his IP Cyberfrog here, and
Okay.
and then I think it ended up being a wraparound cover, and then Salamandroid was in the background, or is Salamandroid here? I can't remember. But there's the Vesbiz enemy hornets.
Oh yeah.
And as you can see, Vampirella is sitting on the abdomen of one of the slain Vespas hornets, and she's holding on to the stinger.
Oh, how cool. Yes. Yeah, I will definitely have a full rendering of her in the future because I kind of prefer to do full renderings as opposed to just, with the white background. But again, if I'm just doing a sketch or if I'm just kind of working on a color theme, I'll have a white background. I won't go full out. But yeah, for a fully realized piece, definitely have to have a background for me to kind of, to keep me interested in the piece.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because if I'm not interested in it, it'll go in my, work in progress folder.
And then Anna, that Star Wars girls. Let me see.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
Yep.
the piece.
I liked
Beautiful.
I liked all the Vampirella CG variants.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who else did one. I thought Vinny Tartamella might have done one, or uh, Bill Tucci, or yeah. So yeah, they perform pretty well.
So yeah, that's kind of what got me back into it. That sketch right there. But I will definitely have more of her in the future. And I want to do some Red Sonja pieces. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I have a bad habit of getting sketches done or getting pieces halfway done and then moving on to something else. And I'm trying to train myself not to do that, to stick with the piece till it's done. Like if I don't get a piece done real quick, like in a couple of days, like I was saying, if it takes longer than that, something shiny will run by and I'll go, ooh, what's that? And then I'll move on to something else. And then I'll have a stack that just, of things that need to get done. And I need to update my Instagram. It's sorely lacking.
Yeah, it needs more cats.
Yep. Oh, there's Cisco with the pumpkin. That's my Cisco. Isn't he cute?
Yep.
He's my sweetie. He's my oldest one. He's going on 11.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and there's in the middle right there, the big blue eyes. Oh, no, the one down. That's Starbuck. That's my Thor. It's not a great picture of him, but he's a big boy.
Wait, is this a picture like a Scooby-Doo Velma?
That's my daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my daughter, except her hair is blue-green now.
She's goth.
She does kind of look a little like Velma, though. She's got those glasses, and yeah. But yeah, that's my daughter. But now that I'm a little more active on, online, I guess, if you will, I'm going to start putting more things up on my Instagram. I'll probably put my artwork up there. Different things that I like of the different IPs I put up there. So that goes back quite a ways.
Oh, you're into Harry Potter.
I am. Gryffindor.
Ah,
Yep.
okay. Right on, right on.
Yeah, that's a very old piece too. Again, just kind of a little sketch.
I often forget how much you can accomplish with colored pencil.
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing medium. It's a very underrated medium. And hang on just a sec. Okay, there was a knock at the door. This time it wasn't a cat though. It was a human. Yeah, you really can. It's like I said, it's an underrated medium that and I don't know if people just don't like working with pencils or if they just don't really know how. It's very easy to over blend with them. Like if you start layering them over and over and over, the surface will become waxy and then you can't deposit any more color.
Oh, is that the trick?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to work backwards. Sometimes you have to do your shadows first and get those set and then layer your lighter colors, not necessarily on top of it, but kind of around the edges and then blend it.
Oh,
And
wow.
then other times you could do the lighter and then add your shadow. It just depends on what technique you're looking for. But if you get it too opaque, they can turn waxy and then you're done. It's like you can't really, the surface is, it's ruined. You can't put any more deposit on it. So they're a little tricky when you first start working with them, but once you get the hang of them, they're a breeze to use. They really are. And that's one of my pencil pieces. Just one of my little mechanical pencils. And I sat down and I said, "Well, let's just do a graphite piece."
Do you happen to know how long this took to draw?
Yeah, this took about a day and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, that one took about a day and a half. And I was really motivated though. I really wanted to get it done. The only thing is that you got to be careful with these because they will smear like crazy.
Do you wear one of those cotton gloves or partial gloves to try and minimize the?
No, I use a paper towel, a folded paper towel, and I kind of move that around because I'll work in like different sections at a time. So that way I can lay that out and then I can fold it if I'm working on a really small section, or I can, spread it out into its full girth, and I can lay that down and then I can work on the section I'm working on without smearing. And that works for me. Yeah. Again, if I can use it, if I have it around the house and I can incorporate it, I will.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my challenges when it comes to drawing is I tend to use the same line weight everywhere. So it looks boring and it doesn't pop, it doesn't have any focus, it doesn't have any points of interest. So
Well, but see, you can use the same line weight, just use your depth and shadowing. Because like all this here, like I said, it's the same pencil. It was mechanical number 5. And all I did is I got my line work down and then I went in with my shadows. And I started, rendering the feathers and making use of that negative space. And then just kind of smudging and blending. And that will help give it dimension where you need it. Now, I'm sure there are graphite artists out there who know all the, the proper professional graphite pencils, and their work will blow you away. I mean, it blows me away. But again, I use what I have, and when the inspiration strikes is when I need to go ahead and get it down, or I won't. So
yeah, I was just looking at mine, trying to figure out what size mine was, but interestingly, I'm using a 2H 200.
Okay. Yep. They'll work too.
If I remember, that's a hard lead. Yeah, I don't want anything too soft. or else it's hard for me to work with.
And yeah, and then you can't get those little details in.
Yes,
Like her crown is full of details, and if I used anything too soft, it just it would have smudged, and it would have driven me nuts.
So, are you an artist by profession? I mean, do you do it, or
I
do you?
was, yeah, I had, let's see, what did I have? I had an Etsy. I was selling them or to different cross stitch companies to do cross stitching,
Really?
make cross stitching patterns out of. Yeah, a long time ago.
Wow.
I had a rubber stamp company contact me one time, and they wanted to take some of my mermaids and make rubber stamps of them. So
Oh,
I licensed those out for a while. But again, once Robert got sick, I haven't done anything with it, which is why I want to start fresh and build up a new portfolio because I'm in a different headspace now. And I don't want to say my work is matured. I don't really mean that it's matured that way, but my subject matter has shifted a little bit. It's still fantasy, but instead of just doing happy little fairies and happy little mermaids, I'm kind of shifting what they represent. Does that
hmm.
make sense?
So angry little fairies and angry little.
Well, we'll see. But I am looking more heavily into the mythology, um, and different different pantheons, and kind of taking a little more inspiration there, and maybe more not abstract, but maybe more some surreal pieces. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I've got my sketches worked out, but it's just a matter of. And to be fair, sometimes what I envision in my head and what ends up on paper are two totally different animals. So sometimes I don't know what I end up with. But
Very
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I love it when artists have really cool rendered hair. I love long hair,
Yeah,
and
I'm a hair person, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
look, that one takes up over half the piece.
yeah, and the
But
flow.
see, all that white around the moon and
Uh-huh.
all the stars, that's all white acrylic. White acrylic. The rest of it is the pencil and marker, but the white is all acrylic.
Ah,
It makes a good effect. I like it.
yeah. It blew my mind when I started seeing like videos of like comic book artists, and then they're chugging along making the piece, and then uh, towards the end they whip out whiteout or a whiteout pen, and it's like,
Mhm.
what?
Mhm.
These whiteout?
Yeah, yeah. My brother used to do that. A long time he used to use whiteout for his stars, and I was just mind blown.
Yeah.
Like, wow, okay.
Oh man, Autumn Kitty, formerly known as Black Cat.
Yeah. I had somebody contact me one time and they asked permission if they could get this as a tattoo.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had two cat pieces, and I had two different people, excuse me, contact me and say, "Hey, would you mind if I got this done as a tattoo?" And I'm like, "No, that'd be fantastic."
Did they show you the final result after they got it done?
I saw one. I saw one of them,
How did it turn out?
and oh, it was gorgeous. I was so honored. I love tattoos. I only have one little one. If if
Uh-huh.
if if I was less of a wimp, I would have tons of tattoos, but they hurt. But yeah,
Really?
I'm a big fan of tattoo artists, big fan of their artwork. And yeah, who the artist that took that, they did it justice. And I was very
Wow.
honored. It was beautiful. It was a big back piece. It was
That
gorgeous.
that is a big back piece.
Yeah, they did a back piece.
Oh damn.
It wasn't this one. It was another one that I named Sunfire, and it was a brown cat, and I mean it was a fully rendered piece. It was a brown cat, and he had huge wings of like golds and yellows and oranges, and there was a big sun behind him, and he was laying on this big marble slab, and There were columns. I mean, it was probably one of my more detailed pieces that I did in the past. Yeah, they did it as a back piece. I was like, damn, that's dedication. And like I said, the artist did it justice. It was gorgeous.
That must have been 2, 3, 4 different visits just to get it all done.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Wow.
I mean, my little tattoo took 15 minutes. So I can't imagine sitting for a big back piece like that, especially with all the detail and the color. I mean, they did it in color. Yeah. Whew. Mad respect. Mad respect.
I love this piece too.
Yeah, my
really
little
cool.
autumn kitty. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. So yeah, I'll probably have more cat pieces in my future too. I mean, I'm living with living references. Why not, right?
Now, behind him, are those wings?
Mm-hmm.
Like butterfly wings, kind of?
Yeah, they're like little fairy wings. They're kind of just
Fairy
folded
wings.
over. Yeah.
All
Butterfly
right.
wings. It just, depends on the person who's viewing it.
Yeah.
And that was actually a really easy piece to do.
Really?
Yeah. That's another one that took about a day.
Whoa.
Once I got it all sketched out and planned, because there's not a lot of fine detail in it. It's mostly color work. So when I got it sketched out, like the branches were totally bare, and I just kind of filled them in as I went. Same with the leaves. So the sketching took no time at all.
That's awesome. That is so good.
Thank you.
Wow. Nice, nice. Whew,
Yeah, that's going back a ways. Older pieces.
Very cool. So this is on the Instagram for any of you who wants to take a closer look at the coolness. Let me see here. Oops, wrong one. Let's see. Just bring this up in the meantime. Hey.
Like me, I always have a dozen tabs open, at least.
Look at WyzGyz is streaming right now.
How about that? Oh my God, I need to check that out. Yep.
All right. So I had a few random questions I wanted to ask you here.
Okay.
So, let me get back to this too here. Pop that in chat again. Yeah, and as I said earlier in the stream, the URL is still there if you want to check out the Mermaids campaign.
Okay.
Really cool. So, you mentioned you were earlier that you're into Barbies. Did you ever collect, or do you collect them?
No. Once I got out of, I don't know. I think I was 9 or 10. Really, once I discovered The Hobbit, I kind of fell out of Barbies. I did. Now I've seen some beautiful ones in my adult life that I thought, that's gorgeous. I'd love to have that, just as a collector's item.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really got into that. As far as the collecting goes, not from the ground level. Like, some people, they started collecting them when they first, started coming out, the special editions, and then and they've just, they've kept going, and I never did. And I've seen some older ones that I think are discontinued or not being made anymore that are just, beautiful. Wish I'd had some of those, but yeah, no, I don't collect them like some people do.
Yeah, I had a phase, if you will, where I actually became kind of interested in Barbies, but it was gorgeous. Do you remember the X-Files?
Yes, I do. Love that show.
So they did X-Files and Barbie, right?
Uh-huh.
And when they first released it, this is the way the story goes, as I understand it. They did a Barbieized Mulder and Scully.
Uh-huh.
And when they, in their original release, Mulder's hair was, brushable hair. And, I guess it's made out of plastic, isn't it? It's basically fake hair, in other words.
Yeah, it is.
But it was all loose and brushable. And then supposedly, David Duchovny, the actor who plays Mulder, came across it at a store and was so put off by it and ticked off at it that he complained about it. And then Mattel released a revised version where his hair is molded.
What?
And that, as you might imagine, caused the price of the original brushable hair version to go up in value. So now and then, if I'm like at a yard sale or one of those auction malls or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I keep my eyes peeled just to see if I can find one.
He got triggered by his Barbie hair. That's hysterical.
Yeah. And then there was I think they once did a Jessica Rabbit Barbie.
Oh yes, that's one I wanted. I love Jessica Rabbit. She's another one who's just she's goals.
So if I can find her, I'll try and pick it up if it's not too expensive.
Yeah.
So things to pick up as a collector.
I would get that. I would get her. I would get a Lily Munster one if they ever did Lily Munster, which they may have. I don't know. I would get that. I would get maybe a Maleficent one if it was more Sleeping Beauty Maleficent, not Angelina Jolie Maleficent, just because I like the original story so much better.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I've got some characters, Arwen, Galadriel, any of the Lord of the Rings ones I would get if I could afford it. I don't know how much these things go for. I know they can get pretty pricey. The more detailed and more realistic, the pricier they're going to be. But there's definitely some I would love to pick up.
Yeah. I hear that. When you were growing up, did you get all the nerdy hand-me-downs from your older brothers?
Nope. I was a princess. I got everything firsthand. I was the only girl.
Oh, well, all right.
Now they got each other's hand-me-downs. My brother that's closest to me in age, he had two older brothers, so they shared stuff.
Right.
But, no, not me.
You got your own stuff. That's
but
cool.
To be fair, I remember. Do you remember those old models of like Frankenstein and Wolfman and
You mean the model kits?
Dracula? Yeah. From the original, based off of the original characters, Bela Lugosi, and they had those. Oh. And I remember those were some of the few things of theirs that I thought were so cool.
Oh wow.
I don't know what happened to them. I mean, I guess they took them and they ended up somewhere, but yeah, that is probably the only thing of theirs now that I wish I had because I thought they were so neat.
Did they go all into it and build them and paint them and all that?
They sure did. Yeah. Nice. And back then, I mean, that's what we did. We had the models and we had all the original little toys, and I mean there wasn't internet, so it wasn't like we were going to jump online and play a video game.
Right.
That was our entertainment. So yeah, they built them and they painted them and they were so cool. Those original characters, I loved them. And to this day, I love them.
Yeah, those Universal monsters, those are cool.
Yeah.
I think the one I got into models for a short time, but I didn't get in too heavy. Like I basically would get the model kits, and if I wasn't too lazy, I applied the water decals on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would get jet fighters usually.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
big into like the Harrier jet and the SR-71A Blackbird.
yeah.
So I would do jet kits. Um, but I was also sort of into uh, robots like Gundam.
Okay,
So every
okay.
now and again, I'd get one of those kits.
I do have some. My husband collected some B5 models.
Mm.
Some, he loved the Star Fury. I know he's got that. He has a couple others. I don't know if it's I think one of them might be a Centauri Cruiser.
Oh wow.
I think I got to double check, but anyway, he never got to make them,
Oh man,
so I might do that.
that would be neat.
Yeah, I may. I've never built a model. I've seen them done, but I've never actually, you know, built one. But I'm thinking about doing that. I know exactly where it is, and who knows?
Well,
I
you might consider getting some small cheap kits just to mess around with and practice on.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'd be devastated if I ruined it. That's a very good idea.
Yeah, because you can find some reasonably priced, like I think it's called 1/140th scale,
Okay.
um, and they're what like roughly that kind of dimensions, and in the box, the size of the box that is, and
Okay.
they run anywhere from like 15 to $20, and it gives you a decent size, decent number of pieces to work with and cut out of the frames and stuff like that. And you can go to some of these hobbyist shops, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll have this wide range of paints you could pick from, and oh man, you can get real fancy with it. It's amazing what you have to choose from now.
Oh,
And
oh, I bet.
yeah, I personally would practice on some other kits you wouldn't be as concerned with if you
Yeah,
did it right.
that's a great idea.
Um, you said when you were what 9 years old, you got into The Hobbit.
Uh-huh. The Hobbit.
What did you enjoy the animated movies?
Oh, the Rankin Bass one, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Let's see, what one was that? 78? I think it was. Or do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so. See, I love the Lord of the Rings movies from Peter Jackson,
Yes.
and
Oh,
uh,
yes.
I really want to love the animated ones, but I don't remember ever making it through watching it because I don't know. It's weird. It's like I can't seem to stay awake watching it. It's weird. I don't know why. It's like the style of animation or something.
Well,
Uh,
the Rankin Bass one, I found. I think it was 2 years after I found the book, or year. It was a year after I found the book, and it was the right place at the right time, and it had the music in it, and I which is funny because if you watch the Amazon version, a lot of the sound effects are cut out from the original movie. I have no idea why, and it's real disconcerting when you're used to one and then you watch the other and it's not the same. Go figure. But yeah, I fell in love with that. Now the Lord of the Rings one I enjoyed, but I was expecting the Hobbit. And as we know, the Lord of the Rings is not the Hobbit. It's a much older, darker feel to it. But now that I've gone back and seen it, of course, I enjoyed a lot more because, you know, now I've read Lord of the Rings, I've seen all the movies, blah, blah, blah. I was ready for it the second time I watched it. Excuse me. But yeah, I did. I enjoyed the animated, and I enjoy the films. I know there are people out there who would not line their litter trays with the Hobbit films. I love them. There are some things I'm like, why did you go there? Why was that even necessary? But that's a personal thing. But I still enjoyed them. I'm like, hey, we have it, and Peter Jackson got to direct it. I'm happy with that, you know.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
are some people that don't like the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, it's just it's
Right.
taste subjective. I'm like, okay, at least he tried to stick with the lore. He tried to honor it.
Yep.
You know, and I do believe that. I believe in both projects. He tried to honor the world that Tolkien created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for that, I really appreciate the work he put into them.
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a smart idea to film them back to back, and that
It
way,
was.
that way you keep all the actors when
Yes.
they're in their prime. You get everyone knowing their roles inside and out.
Exactly.
And there's a consistency, there's a continuity, and it's the right way to do trilogies.
Yeah. And I mean, think of like Orlando Bloom, who had to, you know, years later come back and play Legolas. Well, he had played that character so much and for so long and so well that he was pretty able to just slip back into it. Does a man even age? I mean, he didn't even look. What was it? 20 years later? How long was The Hobbit made after Lord of the Rings?
Oh gosh, I don't know. But
Long
it's
time.
kind of makes me think of Ewan McGregor and how he might come back as he's supposed to come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, yeah.
After having done the prequels years ago.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see, you know, see what he does with it.
Yeah, so so Benjamin Sisko is your favorite captain in
He
all of
is.
Star Trek?
He is. Well, okay. Let me qualify. Kirk to me is like the original fan favorite.
Right.
I have yet, and I'm sure there's people out there, but I have yet personally to meet anyone that doesn't love James T. Kirk, because he is the original. We all bow down and pay homage to the mighty Kirk. That said, yeah, Sisko is definitely my favorite of any of the newer captains. Absolutely. I love him. He does a great job, and he gets the job done. See, where Picard is more, he's more that school captain.
Cerebral.
Yeah, he's more school Starfleet. Sisko is street Starfleet. You know, he gets down in the nitty gritty, and he gets the you don't hear a lot of no prime directive #1. You don't hear a lot of that from Sisko. You know what I'm saying? He gets down to business, and I love that. He's still diplomatic, but he's gritty. He's grittier, and I like a little grit in my captain.
That's a very good point. Yeah. Kirk was kind of a rebel, and Picard was like to the books. And
yes.
Sisko was, like you said, kind of in between there.
Yeah.
Which I got to get my hat off to that.
Yes. Yes.
You know, try and follow the rules, but if you have to make exceptions, make sure there's reason behind it.
Exactly. And Janeway was okay. I mean, she was all right. I never really got into Voyager that much. I watched, I think, the first couple of seasons. It was all right. I mean,
yeah.
But anything after Voyager, I just, you know, I started Enterprise. I don't remember a lot of it, to be honest. I just was that the one with the really funky theme that was like not Star Trek? Okay, yeah.
It's been a long road.
Yeah. I'm like,
Been
what is
from there to here. It's
yes.
been a long road,
I'm like,
but our
no.
time is finally here.
And it was fun. You know, there are people who enjoy it. I just never really got into it, and then anything after that, nah.
Yeah, the rest is garbage.
Yeah, no, sorry, not for me.
Oh, man.
I've tried them, but I can't. I just
No.
cannot do it.
Well,
Ugh.
kudos to you because I don't even have the guts to go that far.
And you know, I was really excited when I heard Picard was coming out, and my
Oh,
husband,
yeah.
in his infinite wisdom, was like, "Honey, it's gonna be trash." And I'm like, "Oh, you're such a pessimist. You don't know." And he's like, "Their track record it's not gonna be good." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you're right." And oh God, what they have done with that show.
Oh, man.
Ugh. So see,
Yeah,
I was excited, but nope, pass.
yeah. I guess the actor, Patrick Stewart, is like a diehard liberal or lefty. Um, I love him in the role, and
Yeah.
I enjoy him in a lot of the movies he's been in, even things like Scrooge,
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh,
Christmas
he's a
Story.
great actor. Yeah, he's the
Yeah,
best.
he is a great actor, and I love him in X-Men as uh, Professor Xavier.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
like perfect role, perfect casting.
Yeah.
Um, and but as I understand it, he is one of the reasons or causes for it to go in the direction it's in, which
Well,
is kind of disheartening.
I don't understand. He reduced his character down from a pretty vibrant character to a sideshow, really,
Yeah,
on his own show.
yeah, which makes no sense.
No, he just comes across as kind of weak. He has women cussing at him.
Yeah,
Hello? What? That kind of language in a Star Trek
yeah,
show?
that part didn't make sense either.
I, you know, I mean, look, I'm known to drop an F-bomb once in a while myself. You know, I don't shy away from bad language, but this is Star Trek. You know, this you don't what? Okay.
It's
See,
totally
it does not compute. It freezes my brain. It does not compute, and my brain wants to stop working. I just don't understand it.
it's totally out of character.
It really is.
Yeah, and it
And
seems
it
like
could have
he
been
gets
so good.
berated on a regular basis by women.
I
And
don't understand it.
oh man, it's sad. And then you've got Star Trek Discovery, which
Ugh.
the thing that uh, amuses me to no end is that it's abbreviated as STD,
I
which is like perfect.
know. How appropriate.
Yeah, is absolutely perfect. It's like karma. It's so many great things all rolled into one. If only the series were good.
It's become all about women empowerment and who's sleeping with who and who identifies as what, and it's just like that almost seems to be the main theme nowadays of a lot of these shows. And it's like, I
Yeah,
don't care. I don't care how you identify. I don't care who you want to sleep with. I don't care. None of that matters. And since it doesn't matter, it's not relevant to the story. Let's get back to good storytelling.
hmm
Let's keep politics out. Modern day politics. Everyone, not everyone, but some people are like, well, Star Trek has always been political. No, there has been a difference. Star Trek, the original Star Trek, always appreciated and understood the intelligence of its audience. And
yes,
it would present to you ideas, it would present to you facts around the ideas, and then it trusted its audience to make the informed decisions themselves, to come to the conclusion themselves. It never beat you over the head with you have to think this, or you're an ist, or you're a phobe, or it had none of that nonsense in it. And that to me is one of the core reasons why it's failing. That, and it doesn't give a flip about the lore or respect the history of these stories and these characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you hear what they were doing with Powerpuff Girls?
I saw the leaked script.
Uh,
If they're still going with that or they're going to change it, that was some of the most banal stuff I've ever read in my life.
I
I'm
mean,
like, good luck with that, guys. Have fun. I won't be watching.
when I was a kid, I loved that series.
Yeah.
And I was always kicking myself at the same time, wondering how possibly I never came up with the idea myself. It's such a brilliant concept, and
Yeah.
and to hear what they're trying to do with it, to CWIze it, and
Ugh,
do what they did with Archie comics.
it's painful.
Oh, geez.
But yet they claim that they want a new audience, which tells me that they don't give a crap about the ones who made the show a success, the ones who watched it, the ones who were there all the time, the
Yep.
ones who bought the merchandise, the ones who, went out to the conventions and wanted autographs of the actors and wanted to, buy all this stuff. They don't care about them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're going to make the stuff so bad that even a new audience, if the person is worth their salt, they're going to be like, I'm not wasting my time watching this stuff. This is garbage.
Right.
So they're just shooting themselves in the foot. And it's happening everywhere.
Yep.
Anyway, I wish them luck, but nah.
Yeah. I thought Deep Space Nine was interesting because it was kind of like, it reminded me of The Love Boat in a sense, because you were constantly
In a way.
you were constantly seeing new like a new round of guests each
Right, every week.
Yeah.
Every week.
which was perfectly fine by me. It kind of kept things fresh.
Yeah.
Half the time I kept wondering if Charo would be on the next episode of Deep Space Nine.
With her Spanish guitar.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing that bugged me, as I mentioned, is that they were stuck in a space station and all the focus was, what was happening locally instead of what was out to be discovered.
Yeah.
Next Generation was pretty decent until Will Wheaton joined, and then and his mom, and then I got kind of irritated and annoyed.
Yeah. Wesley sucks.
Yeah. I liked Deanna Troi for her looks. I know it's mean to say, but I liked her for her looks, but I thought she was kind of useless as a counselor on the Enterprise. I didn't see much use or value.
She was a space babe.
Yeah. Then Voyager, I kind of enjoyed it, but it seemed like through much of the seasons, she was constantly losing crew members. So I kept trying to keep a tally as to how many crew members remain. Just like the new reboot of Battlestar Galactica, how it seemed like they were constantly losing people every episode.
Yeah, that's I have to say though, BSG is definitely one of my jams. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, and I just fell in love with it. I really did.
I thought it was kind of interesting. I really like Edward James Olmos.
Oh,
But
yeah,
my
amazing.
preference is to the original Battlestar Galactica, even though it was kind of in the campy era.
Yeah, it's 70s, of course.
Yeah,
Of
along
course.
with Batman and $6 Million Man, and those were my jam too.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching. We all the kids in my neighborhood, we watched the original, growing up. I mean, it was like, hey, Battlestar Galactus on tonight. Yay.
Yeah,
So I remember that fondly, as part of my childhood. And it was campy. But when I saw the new one, that was more my speed. And granted, I mean, you're going from a kid to an adult, to be fair.
uh-huh.
And it's like comparing apples and oranges, because they're even though it has the same name, they're two totally different shows. They really are. But yeah, I love that one. But of course, my big jam is Babylon 5. I can't get enough of that show.
Babylon 5 is cool.
Oh,
It was a good series too.
yeah.
Um, I I enjoyed Enterprise, and I love seeing the actor in there from Quantum Leap, I guess, if I remember.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what was his name? I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Quantum Leap. That's what I remember him from. That's where I first saw him.
Uh, I don't know if this really impacted my like or dislike for Enterprise, but that theme song,
Woo!
it felt like it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Well, it's funny because the first time I saw it, I had to double check and make sure it was indeed a Star Trek show. And that theme song kicked on. I'm going, wait, did I get the wrong show? What is this?
Hey,
Yeah, I
you're
can't
joining
do
us for a buddy road trip.
it. I just, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Quantum Leap, I read somewhere. Now take this with a grain of salt, because this may have just been may have just been a rumor. But back in the day, they were going to cancel it. They were going to kill it after, I think, the first or second season. And I read somewhere that it was the president of the network's favorite show. So he called him and said, "We're not canceling Quantum Leap because I love it." So it got a reprieve.
Oh wow.
Now, again, take it with a grain of salt, but I thought that was I thought that was a cute story. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Wow.
rock on, Quantum Leap.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember hearing that, but that makes sense that they'd keep it going.
exactly.
I mean, it's a hell of a lot better a series than most of what's on TV nowadays.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. It had a good premise to it. It was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah, indeed. So we've got this awesome sauce that is your channel. Oh, by the way, you said that so as an artist, your focus is on um, uh, fantasy art.
Yes.
So is that mainly like fairies? Are you going into like dragons and sword and sorcery sort of stuff, or
I would love to do a dragon, actually, like a serious rendering of a dragon. That would be cool. Yeah, my old body of work is mainly fairies. There is a subset of fantasy artists known as fairy artists. And back when I was active, like Selena Finneck is one. She is a very big name in the fairy fantasy art world.
that sounds familiar? Selena
Yeah.
Finneck.
Jessica Galbraith. She's not doing fairies anymore. She's doing more angels and more spiritual work. But she was probably one of the biggest names. Her and Amy Brown is another one. They were primarily fairy artists. They would do occasionally. They would do. I don't want to say not fairies, but they would do fantasy characters. But the bulk of their work was fairy art. Brian Froud, he's like the grandfather of fairy artists. He's the one who teamed up with Jim Henson and did all the designs for the movie Labyrinth.
Really?
Yeah, all of the character designs in there, all the goblins, the fairies, Hoggle. That's all Brian Froud. He did the Dark Crystal.
Oh, wow.
He teamed up with Jim Henson to design the characters for the Dark Crystal. So his work is really, really good. I mean, he just doesn't do cute little fairies with wings. He does some dark stuff, and he's amazing. And Amy Brown, kind of, she's another one. We all kind of stem from Brian Froud, I have to say. Like I said, he is the grandfather of fairy artists. If you're a fairy artist, you know Brian Froud, because he's amazing. And his wife, she does, Wendy Froud. I'm pretty sure that's her name. She does doll figurines of fairies. And again, it's not just your typical Tinkerbell. We're talking, real, when you think of the Fae, they more embody the world of the Fae, not just Tinkerbell fairies. So that's kind of what I was doing, and I still may go down that path. I don't see me not doing any kind of Fae work in the future, but it will be a more realized, again, maybe darker, more mature themed, as opposed to just a pretty fairy with you stick wings on them, kind of. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm trying, I want to do a little more with my artwork than just that. Excuse me.
I don't know if you ever heard. There's this cool book being crowdfunded called Sins of the Fae.
No. Oh, I'm learning all sorts of stuff today. This is awesome.
It's pretty trippy. It's from Late Night Productions. Buddy Lord is the author, the storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
The artist who he has on board for this is Xevious. He does killer art, but you can see from this imagery alone. I figured this would be up your alley. This style.
Definitely.
And they've got a special language to it, as you can see.
Yeah, they're deep diving.
Yeah, look how freaking detailed it is. And it's heavy into the idea of, I guess a traditional form of angels, or the literal form of angels, becoming fae or something to that effect. I sometimes have trouble grasping the whole concept myself. But
that was gorgeous.
Yeah, but Xevious is really putting a lot of work into this.
The detail. Really, really good.
Actually, I might have things backwards. See these spinning objects here?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I remember and understand correctly, they're like concentric circles that are constantly in motion, spinning around. And I think that's like what was in ancient texts, like the Bible or what have you, as being the interpretation of angels or something to that effect.
Beautiful. I love the color work.
Yeah, he's
oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Look at this eel in the city.
That is so cool. Oh.
Yeah.
That bottom piece blows me away. See, I'd love to do something like that. That is stunning. Just stunning. Now, I wonder if he does digital or if that's traditional.
If I'm not mistaken, he's traditional.
Traditional? Just beautiful.
And then the bookmark you get with the campaign has the legend, if you will, or the key. So
Oh,
you
cool.
decipher the characters.
Yeah. That's an amazing idea.
And Xevious is also the designer of the logo.
Okay.
And it's got like, I think that's the Tree of Life merged into the logo. It originally had a different style when they had this other artist doing the interiors. But something came up, so they weren't able to continue. So Xevious agreed to become the main artist.
Yeah, you'd have to do that. It would look really wonky to have, half of the book be one style and then it'd be jarring, and another style.
Yeah,
Unless you're so good you can just replicate somebody's work.
Right. Yeah. And
Then okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be very difficult to do. It would be for me.
I mean, this is the stuff I love. I love breaking borders and going from one panel into another.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm geeking out on the colors too.
Yeah.
I like really bright, vibrant work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so this is Sins of the Fae. Let me drop that.
I'll check that out too. Yeah, I tried my hand years ago. My favorite comic ever is ElfQuest.
Oh.
By Wendy and Richard Pini. Love that. Love it. And years and years and years ago, back when she was ceasing to do all of the main work, when she was commissioning artists. Now, I don't know how exactly they went about doing it, but she was using other artists to, to carry on the story. And it wasn't just her and Richard working on it anymore. It was, there were other artists coming in and doing the artwork. And I don't know if they were doing the writing too, but anyway, they were carrying it on, especially when they got into Wave Dancers and what was the other one? I think they had kind of a branch off called Jinx. Anyway, they were doing different stories and different works in that. And I decided that I was going to sit down and do a sample collection and ship it to her and try and get on as possibly illustrating it. And I got about 3 pages done, and then I chickened out. I did. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm sorry. I don't have the guts to do this.
Oh, man.
I know. I wish I had, just for the experience. Even if they had said thanks, but no thanks. It was fun doing it, and I need to find. If I find those, I'm gonna look for those panels today, and if I can find them, I'll post them on my Twitter. But yeah, I chickened out, but I learned a lot. Doing those. I learned that you can't just have a static panel. You got to have motion in it, even if there's nothing really happening in a scene. Comic book art is a lot different from what I call fine art or portrait art. And I'm more of a portrait artist.
Yeah.
So I had to adapt.
In some ways, I guess you might consider me a portrait artist too.
Where it's more the stationary. I mean, you can still have flow in a piece, but it's more the snapshot art, the snapshot of a scene, of a picture. Comic art, you need to constantly have that motion and flow going. Otherwise, it's going to get boring.
Right.
But yeah, I chickened out. Oh, well. But I learned a lot. So it wasn't a wasted venture. It was beneficial to me.
Right. If you don't... maybe I'll show this to you off air. I was going to show you a few of my pieces that I did a while back.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone check out Arwyn's website, Arwyn Avalon. Presently says the channel doesn't have any content, but that will change soon.
It will. It will.
And hopefully we get to see some of your behind the scenes creations, works in progress, and how you start with a blank page, blank slate, turning into something magical.
I'll see what I can do.
Now you got 56 subs now.
I know! Yay!
So that's pretty sweet. And yeah, so let's see here. And so it begins. Calculated musings on geek things that were, that are, and that might be. I break for tribbles.
Yeah, I break for tribbles. I love them.
Would you really, if you saw one in the middle of the street, would you really stop for it?
Oh yeah.
And would you be willing to pick it up and put it in your car, or would you like poke at it with a stick?
Oh no, if it was a tribble, especially if it was cooing at me, it would come home. It would come home with me. I got 12 cats. What's a bunch of tribbles?
Well, you know, probably within a week's time, your entire house would be filled with them.
Hey, though, maybe I could breed them, and then I could become the world's first tribble breeder and sell them to Star Trek fans and make $1 million and retire.
Oh, that's true. But then it'll start a whole tribble market because
it would
replicate.
They would take over the world.
They would, wouldn't they? So I mean,
the world would be a cuter place. You have to admit.
Oh my gosh! I mean, but then they might get taken into the slave trade and be made into pillows and.
Oh God, that's dark. I wasn't gonna go there.
Well, you could like get a breathable material like cotton, throw a bunch of tribbles in it.
God.
Zip it closed, and then have a constantly vibrating, purring.
Oh my God!
The new vibrating and purring pillow made as you sleep.
Fluffy slippers that warm your feet with their purrs in the morning.
There you go. Exactly.
God, no.
And
They're
then
just for loving, not for wearing.
who needs to walk anymore? Just step right on these tribbles and they'll take you where you
move
need to go.
you. Oh, geez, a whole pile of them move you around. No.
Good golly. Good golly. All right, so this has been fun.
Yes, it has.
I am going to give you the floor, Arwyn. Would you share with the world how you can be found on social media?
Okay. As y'all have seen, I can be found on my YouTube channel, which I hope to have something up there soon. I don't know when. I don't want to make any promises because right now I'm really enjoying guesting. I'm staying pretty busy, but you never know what the future will hold. I can also be found on Twitter and Instagram, both, all three of them, Arwyn Avalon. So like I say, stop by and say hey, and I'll say hey back. And I'll also be found on Thursday nights on the Pegasus Actual podcast on Supreme Heretic's YouTube channel. Every Thursday night about 9 o'clock, 9:10, we discuss Battlestar Galactica. And this week we are doing, I believe, season 3, episode 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So come on down and enjoy it. Let's see, it's with Drew, it's his channel, and then Brightest Day and Culture Casino.
Is that
other panelists?
Is that Drew Eash, the mysterious Mr. E?
Yeah.
It
Well, I don't know his last name. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right.
I'm not sure. But he's been in the fandom for a long time. Everyone loves and respects him. Everyone I know who talks about Drew is like, he is a good guy. He is a great guy.
Cool.
So he has a lot of mad respect and support behind him. And he's a great guy. And he loves Battlestar Galactica. So
Yeah,
so say we all.
I don't know if it's the same Drew I'm thinking of, but we've got someone in our Comicsgate community who has a book called Captain Love, and it's pretty cool. He's got a whole universe lined up.
Cool.
Yeah. Very cool guy. And as everyone knows, you can check out my social media by checking out the description of every stream. I want to thank everyone in chat for joining us today. And thanks to everyone who watches this on replay. And don't forget to sub to Arwyn's YouTube channel and follow her on social media, Twitter and Instagram. And want to extend very special thanks to Arwyn Avalon for joining us today.
Well, thank you. It has truly been my pleasure. I've had a lot of fun today. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome sauce. All right. Well, you all take it easy. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next stream. Bye.
Final guest that is the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sameti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.